Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are learning about the Whiskey Rebellion. In 1791, just a few years after America won its independence, the brand new US government made a decision that nearly tore the country apart. They taxed whiskey. To city folk, it was just another tax. But to frontier farmers, whiskey wasn't just a drink. It was money, survival, and pride. And when the government came to collect, they didn't pay up. They picked up their muskets. After the Revolutionary War, the U.S. government was broke. Soldiers needed to be paid, debts had to be cleared, and the new nation needed revenue. Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton came up with a plan: tax distilled spirits. But on the American frontier, especially in western Pennsylvania, whiskey wasn't a luxury, it was currency. Farmers used whiskey to pay debts, trade goods, and survive harsh winters. So when the federal government tried to tax it, people didn't just see money leaving their pockets. They saw Washington, D.C. treating them the same way Britain once had. By 1791, resentment turned into resistance. Tax collectors sent to rural Pennsylvania were met with mockery, intimidation, and sometimes violence. Some were tarred and feathered. Others had their houses burned down. The rebels argued that the tax unfairly targeted small farmers while benefiting wealthy distillers in the cities. Local militias began forming. Secret meetings were held. Rumors spread of a full-scale revolt. And then, things exploded. In July 1794, 500 armed men attacked the home of a federal tax inspector named John Neville near Pittsburgh. A pitched battle broke out. Shots were fired. People were killed. News reached President George Washington, and he knew this wasn't just about whiskey anymore. To Washington, this was a test. Would the new federal government stand firm or collapse into chaos? In an unprecedented move, Washington personally called up 13,000 troops, a force larger than many Revolutionary War armies. And for the first time in U.S. history, a sitting president led an army into the field. Washington marched west into Pennsylvania, determined to crush the rebellion and prove the power of the federal government. When the rebels saw thousands of trained soldiers approaching, they scattered. The rebellion fizzled without a major battle. A few leaders were arrested and charged with treason, but Washington pardoned them. The message was clear. The U.S. government had the will and strength to enforce its laws. But the rebellion also left deep scars. Frontier farmers remained bitter for decades, and political divisions widened between the Federalists, who supported a strong central government, and the Democratic Republicans, who sided with the farmers. Ironically, just a few years later, President Thomas Jefferson, a critic of the tax, repealed it entirely. The Whiskey Rebellion was more than a fight over booze. It was a defining moment for the young United States. It showed that liberty wasn't simple, and that sometimes, to preserve a nation, even a president had to pick up his sword. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Goodbye.